What's up, Slappers? In this video, we will be going over my recommended settings. This is the second of 5 videos in the Legend Tips series. The first video on positioning is out already and you can check it out here. The other 3 will include puck control, defense, and the great input device debate. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for any other tips and tricks videos. So these are my recommended controller binds, but before I get into each bind, I just wanted to quickly mention that I do use an Xbox One controller, but I have used the PS4 and I've also used the PS5. So I tried them all out, and this is one I just happen to like the most because I like the way the analog sticks feel, but it's more personal preference and you can use any one, and there are multiple pros who use any of the 3. So bind-wise, I'll start with what I think is most important, and that is my settings for bumpers and triggers. So I have puck lift on left bumper, stop or brake on left trigger, dash on right bumper, and stick lift on right trigger. And the reason I do this is that I want to be able to puck lift, stop, dash, stick lift immediately after any of the others that I use, so that there's less input delay between dashing and stick lifting, dashing, any of the above combinations. And make sure you're holding your controller so that you're able to have a separate finger on all these, and I'll put up a picture here real quick. Notice how there's a finger on each of left bumper, left trigger, right bumper, and right trigger. The reason that I don't put dash on the right stick or the left stick clicking down is because I've had controllers wear out in the past pretty quickly when you have it there, and then you could be dashing by accident when you don't want to, which is super annoying. So it's just easier to avoid that by putting it on a bumper or a trigger. Another problem with the sticks is that you're constantly putting a lot of pressure on them to click down as well as move. And I actually have a picture of a real pro in Slapshot, a real pro's controller, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm not going to leak his name, but yeah, so this is another reason why I don't use stick dashes. Continuing down the binds, I have move on the left stick and rotate on the right stick. It's pretty straightforward. I have quick chats on the D-pad, scoreboard on the share button, I think that, or whatever, the back button, and then menu on the menu. Nothing crazy there. I have camera flip on Y, and I would recommend keeping camera flip anywhere besides on the right stick, because you don't want to be flipping your camera while still having the right analog stick activated, because then your stick is going to flip real fast and you're going to hit the puck away if you have it in your possession. So make sure you're taking your thumb off of the right stick in order to hit the camera flip button, and you'll get better at that as you put more time into the game. Then I have skip replay on A and camera preset on B. So this is a newer feature that the developer added. Right now, you have 2 binds available to you: next camera preset and previous camera preset. I only use one of them. I think mine's previous, but it doesn't matter. And then I make sure I only have 2 camera presets set in my settings so that I'm able to swap from one to the other. I have a really close-up camera and then a really far away camera for different situations in game. Example, if I'm trying to make a save, I want to have a close, low camera. But if I want to have more view on what's going on so I can see passes coming to me or see where my teammates are to pass to, I would use a farther away view. Eventually, I know the developer of Slapshot is going to add a keybind for a specific camera preset, which would be very useful, but that's not out as of the time of making this video. Speaking of camera presets, I'll start going over some of the ones that I use. I only have 2 at the moment, and they are both from SPL pro players, being Kylar and Jahziah, so credit to them. I'll put a link in the description for the camera settings. You can just copy paste those into your own settings. I'll also put a link to a bunch of pro player settings. Any of them are good. I think it's a Google Doc, and you can just try them all out and see which one you like the most. But it is a lot of personal preference. So these are Kylars camera settings, and they're pretty close up and low to the ice. And then in contrast, these are Jahziah's camera settings, and they're higher up and you can see more of the ice. So now I'm going to get into controller calibration, and you can find that in settings, and then go to controls and click on calibrate for your controller. So If you've noticed in some of my montages, it seems like my stick moves a little faster than you when you have 100 cents, which I should probably show real quick. I do have controller sensitivity at 100, and I do recommend that. So back to the calibration. So this is where you can adjust dead zones, your zero, and your sensitivity for your sticks and triggers. I have primarily messed with the sensitivity for my right stick here and right stick here as well. I made sure the sensitivity is above, because normally it's right about here in the middle. I just upped it a bit so my stick moves a bit faster. And also make sure you adjust your zero to match up with this gray. So mine actually needs adjusting. As your controller gets older, you'll need to adjust it more and more. So adjust the red line to the center of the gray. Do that for each one to make sure your sticks are as accurate as possible. It's actually good I went in here so I can update mine. I haven't looked in a while. Just do what I'm doing there. So yeah, I have my sensitivity up higher on the right stick. Left, I left alone. Dead zones, I also left alone on the right and left sticks. However, on the triggers, so you'll see here, I have adjusted those. So what I'm doing is I'm making the dead zone very small for my triggers, which is the red box here, the red box here. And the reason I made the dead zone smaller is because I want to stop, or I want to stick lift with very little input delay. So as soon as my controller detects any pressure applied to the left or right triggers, it's gonna break or stop or stick lift. So I do recommend testing that out. Make sure you find something you're comfortable with. And then I also adjusted the zero for the right trigger. And I wanted the right trigger for stick lift to be even more sensitive, so I adjusted the zero there as well. Mess around with these settings. Remember what you like and try and take a screenshot or something just in case you come back here, because you can't have presets besides resetting to default. And also, once you're done there, you have to click done and then also click save. Lastly, I wanted to quickly touch on ping in this game. So for one thing, make sure you are queuing the regions closest to you only. For example, I'm only queuing on NA East. Next, go into your settings. If you have premium, you're able to adjust latency simulation amount. So this will make your practice feel as similar to online games as possible. So I set mine to 20. You gotta fiddle around with it a bit, especially since Irv, the developer, is making changes to how this number specifically feels. But as of the time of this video, I find that like 1.5 times your ping in game, set it here, and it'll feel about right. So it's better to practice on that. Thanks for watching another episode in Legend Tips and Tricks, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.